Hello friends, my name is Deepak and once again I am here with Sanjeevji. As you can see, I'm sure everybody can recognize you. If you haven't been to his office in the last couple of years, I strongly recommend you come here and say hello to him because they are definitely open now for in-person visits. And then along with me, I also have attorney Snehal Patil. Snehal Patil will be with us at the Wealth Summit talking about estate planning. So Snehalji, what is estate planning?
Okay, so in simple words, estate planning means you're planning for any uncertainties that may be caused by death or incapacity, right? So two scenarios, death, incapacity. That is when you want to be prepared to take care of yourself and your family.
So what is this like? Do I need to do some sort of build a corporation? What do I need to do to do this estate planning?
Actually, in simplistic terms, when we talk of estate plan, think of it as a legal contract. In many ways, it's a contract with your own self. In some cases, it is a contract with your spouse to do certain things. What are those certain things? The same things that you would do without an estate plan, right? Meaning that if you are in a hospital, you want somebody to take care of you. If you pass away, you want to make sure that your wealth passes on to the next generation, right? If you have minor children, you want to make sure that they don't end up in foster care. Things like these. We estate planners, all we do is we'll give you legal tools. We'll draft a contract that is as per the local laws. We'll keep you out of trouble. And most importantly, I think I tell all my clients that when you think of an estate plan, think of what will happen generally if something happened to you. We will give you legal tools to minimize obstacles and put you on the right path.
So is there like some sort of threshold, like, after you make certain income, after you have certain wealth that you should consider?
To understand that, I'll take a brief moment to explain what are the three verticals of an estate plan. Number one, wealth transfer after death. Number two, taking care of a minor child. Typically in California at least, it's 18 years of age. And generally 18 is the age of majority worldwide typically. And third is incapacity planning, when you are medically unfit to take care of your own self. Now, if you're talking purely, I know the word estate planning, a lot of people think it as a misnomer. It's only about the wealthy, it's about an estate. But if you think of it, a classic estate plan, it's only the first vertical. Now, what is that quantum of wealth depends on the laws of the state where you reside. Speaking purely of California, you'd be surprised it's ridiculously low. The probate limit, that is when your estate will end up in the court, as of April 1st of this year, it's a meager $184,500.
Wow. Okay, let me understand that. You're saying if somebody's wealth is more than 185,000, they would actually have to go through probate?
Absolutely. And you know what's even surprising, a lot of people don't realize, first, it's a summation of all your wealth. Yes. It's not per asset limit.
So it's your bank account, it's your stocks, it's your real estate.
It's your personal assets, your jewelry, your cars, your household items, right? Plus, second double whammy. It's a gross limit, not net.
See, that's the thing. That's very important.
Right? Now, how many professionals, even if you don't have a house, how many working professionals can say confidently that they won't have a wealth below they will have wealth below 185,000, and we're not talking of today's terms. We're talking at the time of their death.
Wow.
There you go. I think everybody needs an estate.
Wow.
Purely only on the first one.
Now, if they don't have an estate plan, which many people don't, if they don't have, what are the consequences? What are the costs? What are the legal issues they might run into?
The first and foremost, in the first vertical, your assets will end up in the court. Right? That court process is called probate. The way it works, the person's assets end up in the court takes charge of it, distributes those assets to the surviving family members. Four major downsides to a probate. Number one, it's super expensive. At least speaking of California, if you have assets above that threshold, it ends up in probate. Probate fees are calculated as of your gross estate. Again, it's gross. Now, what does gross mean? Let's say if your $1 million house, that's your market value. At the time of death, you have a 600K mortgage. In your mind, you're thinking 400 is my net, which is the equity. That's not how the law looks. They calculate the fees based off of your gross, which is 1 million, right? Fees, not something that you can negotiate with your family members.
No,
it is prescribed in law, and it's calculated as a percentage of your gross estate. Percentage starts at 4%. tapers down to 0.5% in slabs. To give you a ballpark estimate on the first $1 million, the probate cost itself will be $46,000.
Wow.
Right? Now, if you ask me, in my view, that's unnecessary money that your estate will end up paying to the legal system to distribute your own assets to your own surviving family members only because it went through probate.
Wow. That's a very expensive mistake to make.
So I have a question for you.
Sure.
I just want to have some questions because the client do ask me and just want to bring some items here.
Mm-hmm.
People have wills.
Right.
They do a lot of wills. They think will, of course, probate because of the court system. But people think, oh, I have the will, everything is covered. Make simple will, or they go online. There are a lot of tools out there.
Or they draft a will.
They draft a will, or they go online and do a trust document.
Sure.
When we say them talk to attorney, they say, wow, I have done already. Why
Right.
attorney is important in this case? Why attorneys? What's the difference between attorney and going online?
I think it's the same way. Would you like to do a surgery on your own self? Or would you rather go to a doctor who's trained to do that?
I think
right?
going to doctor is a good idea.
That's the basic construct. Now let me speak specifically in this situation, right? Now talking of wills, at your death there could be three scenarios. Number one, you had no estate planning documents, which means even not a will. Second, you had a will. And the third, you have a trust, or what is, at least for most people, a revocable living trust. Scenario one, there's no legal documents. Obviously, it's going to end up in court, the probate court. Scenario two, when you have a will, but your assets are above that probate threshold, the $184,500,000 threshold currently, it will still end up in probate. How many people know that? Not many. Now remember, will is a legal document, which means it has to be constructed or drafted in a certain legal format for it to be valid. It has to be executed in a certain way, meaning that it has to be witnessed, the witness have to be independent, there need to be a couple of witnesses. So there are a lot of legal formalities. If they are not followed, even if you have drafted something, it may not hold the test of law, or even if it does, it will still end up in the court to prove that the will is valid, to prove that the will can be executed. And all of this takes time.
Yes.
I mean, you think of it. You either go to an attorney like me today, we charge fixed fees and get it done the right way, or you come to me after the fact for helping you solve the
And you
court
charge
problem.
more fees that time.
Exactly. And which law litigator doesn't charge hourly fees? Everybody does.
So one more question for you, because people do ask me this question again. And it's important for the Wealth Summit participants who are coming to the Wealth Summit. Estate planning attorney will be there, Snehal Patil. This is a Wealth Summit which is happening every time once in a year. So we are bringing him, Snehal Patil, about all the angles related to estate planning. So one question that come up from our clients, they have something in India. They have assets in India. They have properties in India. They might have will in India. Will that are those assets included here in the trust, or how does it work out?
Okay, I can speak specifically about my own practice and my own experience. By the way, I'm licensed both in India and in California. I have 20
that's
plus
great.
years.
So that's very important factor.
No, certainly, I think it's first license in India, 20 years of experience working in both US and India, cross-border transactions. By the way, we also do Indian estate planning, sitting here in California.
That's so important. So here you go.
So we are not purely only focused on the US. As a general rule of thumb, anything on the Indian side, keep it under Indian laws. Anything on the US side, keep it under US laws. What does that mean? On the US side, the conventional pattern is to have a trust if you want to avoid a court process, and then you prepare all the other ancillary documents. But the trust is the main vehicle to distribute your assets after death. On the Indian side, there's mostly the trust concept doesn't exist. It exists for ultra wealthy for various reasons. Rank and file, everybody should have a will. The Indian will is very different than on the US side. So generally when we represent clients, we'll keep their Indian assets under the Indian will, because remember, if that dispute happens in India, it will end up before either an Indian court or an Indian government body, and you don't want them to be looking at your US assets for various reasons.
So you will throw some lights in the Wealth Summit on this area, because people will be interested to know more about it and how it is going to work out, because most of our clients, have something in India. Like we have something going on. Inheritances happens, gifts happens, so many things happens.
Absolutely, I think,
So-
good thing is like I'm like most of our audience, perhaps. I'm a first generation Indian. I lived in India. I have assets in India. I have assets here. I went through the whole rigmarole of H1B, and then AP,
Everybody has
AP,
gone
green
through
card.
H1B.
Exactly. So I understand all those issues plus the asset side. So certainly we will be talking not just only on California or US estate planning. We will also talk and touch upon all the Indian estate planning angle as well.
That's important, yeah.
I think, Sanjeev, like you very well said, most of our audiences have some sort of relationship with India, whether it's through real estate or maybe they have inheritances or maybe they have parents living there. So definitely, I think everybody will benefit from that. On the day of Wealth Summit, are you planning on coming certain hours or would you be there whole day long?
I plan to be there the whole day. Of course, my plan is I will try to be in areas where I can get to talk to people. Now, bear in mind a lot of conversations may be private, so it is what will be better is that I can give you a general guidance, but certainly after the Wealth Summit, I would welcome any scheduling of meetings but I will be there for the whole day.
Wow.
So if you guys have not registered, please go to sanjeevcpa.com and register for the Wealth Summit. And on the day of Wealth Summit, like he said, he will be there whole day long. Not whole night long, right? Just
No, not whole night long. And one thing to Sanjeevji's earlier point, remember the name of my law firm is Indus Counsel, which is nothing but a short form of India and US.
Wow.
So
Wow,
there you
that's a
go.
good
We
one.
will be
That's a
talking
good
about
one.
both.
So, yeah.
Right.
So he will be there whole day long. What that means to you guys is, I know not everybody might have questions for him, and a lot of you guys probably do have questions for him. So throughout the day, as you see him available, just go here, walk up to him, get your question answered, decide if you need a will or if you need a trust. Sounds like more than likely you will need a trust.
Exactly.
I doubt it. You're coming to the Wealth Summit, and if you don't have an assets less than 185K,
Which is not possible particularly in California.
you know.
I'm glad you're now more educated on this subject after our conversation. So
And
that's
by the way,
really great.
if you do have assets below 185K, then you even have a bigger reason to come to Wealth Summit.
Oh yeah, we have other things to
How
do.
to generate the wealth?
So
certainly.
we got to fix that problem first, because that itself is a problem.
Because the motto of the Wealth Summit is making money, growing money, and saving money. So
Saving
that's
money.
important.
Exactly.
So those of you guys who are coming to the Wealth Summit for the first time, this year we have a lot more professionals coming to Wealth Summit. For example, we will talk about agriculture investing. We'll talk about estate planning. We'll talk about corporate law. We'll talk about businesses. We'll talk about how to build wealth. We'll talk about how to protect wealth. And as always, Sanjeevji will have his 80-hour presentation on how to reduce your taxes, which he will try to squeeze in the next 4 hours.
Right.
So that's the plan for Wealth Summit as always. So we're looking forward to seeing you at the Wealth Summit. If you do not have your tickets yet, please just go to sanjeevcpa.com and register. As usual, we will have snacks in the morning, lunch in the afternoon, and then snacks in the evening as well. So those of you guys who came to the previous Wealth Summit, you know, food will not be your problem that day.
Yes. And they were excited about food.
They were absolutely loving it. So please register, and we will look forward to seeing you at the Wealth Summit. Thank you.